hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. A few words before I start. I want to thank Sarah and Jennifer and the gallery staff for everything they did. They did everything an artist would want in the installation of this show. They worked very hard, and they made everything look exactly the way I wanted it to look. So I'm really very pleased with the installation here. One does exhibitions in lots of different places, and you're not hearing? Oh, sorry. Is that better? They even get me to turn the mic on. So I really owe a debt of gratitude to them for doing this in such a beautiful way and in a way in which it is everything I wanted. And at the risk of embarrassing my host, I have to say that, as you heard, I ran an art department for 28 years, started galleries in New York, associated with the college there. And I've met a few other people like Sam Yates around the world as I traveled and met other academics. But when you meet somebody like that who is so devoted and so energetic on behalf of the institution that he's working with, you just have to cherish them. And I hope you all do, because he's a remarkable person, and I thank him and am delighted to have met him and worked with him. He's really a terrific fellow. So thank you, Sam. Let me say, shows like this only happen with the juice that a person like Sam Yates provides. Maybe you don't all know that he drives a truck up to New York to pick everything up himself and drives back. And it's not just my show that he does it for, it's all the shows that you've seen here he's doing that. So it's quite a lot of energy. The title of this talk is Why a Cyclorama? And what I'm going to try to do is explain to you as best I can, as straightforwardly as I can, why I'm doing a cyclorama and how that evolved. A cyclorama is kind of an unusual format to have chosen, given the fact that it was invented in the 18th century and it was a popular format, almost a means of entertainment in the 19th century. Even some of the early examples of corporate structures were cycloramas. So they were investments and means of making money. Even had some of the corruption that we're witnessing today. But the cyclorama was very they were called panoramas in Europe and cycloramas in the United States, and they were a very specific form. You came up into the middle of it, and you were surrounded by the entire picture. Sometimes there was a faux terrain. You were limited to a kind of Victorian cupola, or a faux Victorian cupola, and the source of light, which was usually skylights of some sort, were hidden from you by a draped cloth or canopy. And you had this tremendous illusion. Maybe some of you have seen the reinstallation of the cyclorama at Gettysburg, which was completed about a year ago and is now reinstalled as a cyclorama. So I'm going to try and take you through some of my history as an artist. I find that really the reasons for getting to do a cyclorama have got to do with my own artistic development. They also have to do with my own view of the history of art, and there are certain really expressive and philosophical reasons why I've chosen to do this. I'll start with the fact that my first working venue, I hope this is going to work, so closed up on us. My first working venue after I graduated from school was in Rome, and this was in the winter of 1963. And as you heard, I was there as a guest of my brother who had graduated from Princeton and the School of Architecture there and had won a Fulbright. And so he invited me there. We had actually previously taken a trip around Europe in 1960 in a Fiat 500 and used Pevner's Outline of European Architecture as our guidebook. And we spent 3 months looking at all the architecture. I was completely unschooled in anything, and he was my professor. He had already gone through architecture school, so that was really my entry to an interest in art, was through architecture. I know there are some architects here, because I've been talking to you as in the gallery, and you should understand that a lot of my interest and certainly my introduction to art is through architecture. And so we were living in Rome, and we used Paolo Portuguese's Roma Barocca. Maybe some of you know that book. It's an absolutely beautiful book that came out around that time with fantastic photographs of Baroque Rome. And it was only in Italian then, but we spoke Italian. And we went around. I spent most mornings working in the studio, and then in the afternoons we'd go around and look at things together. And so I was living in the heart of Vecchia Roma. It was possible in those days. In 1963, a studio was in a beautiful place in Old Rome. Was maybe quite a good one for $50 a month, and for $200 a month you could have all the materials you needed and eat in all the restaurants, and that was less than the tuition at a graduate school. So it was a choice to make to go to Rome and not to graduate school. And down the block was the Palazzo Farnese with Michelangelo's facade, and inside was Carracci's murals. And so I was really involved in site-specific painting right from the beginning, being immersed in site-specific painting. And of course, Rome is full of wonderful site-specific paintings, and this is one. Here you see Pietro da Cortona's ceiling painting in the Palazzo Barberini. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but I just want to give you a flavor and an idea of the fact that my kind of earliest experiences were being immersed in site-specific paintings like this, and I found them extremely exciting. There's the Palazzo Farnese, which was down the block from where I lived, with the facade by Michelangelo. And of course, down the block from that was the Palazzo Spada with Borromini's famous Prospettiva. The Prospettiva is an interesting bit of architecture or sculpture, or maybe even painting in a way, in that if you're not familiar with it, it plays around with your view of perspective, and it makes what is a fairly short colonnaded hallway in the garden of the palazzo look like it's much longer and leading to a much greater distance. And you see he achieves that by angling in the walls and decreasing the size of the columns, and angling down the ceiling, changing the coffers and the ceiling and the grid pattern on the floor, all to elongate the perspective and make it look different than what it actually is. And of course, as you walk up into it, you discover that it's completely different than what it appears to be from the front. Rome is full of things like that. Here's Cicio's ceiling in the Gesù. And all of these were within a few blocks of where I was living, so it wasn't just going to see them once. It was, going back and forth all the time. And probably my